Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing all of the Tower 28 Bronzinos. I have all 5 shades here with me, so I'll be able to swatch all of them for you to give you a better idea of what the shade range is, and I'm going to be trying a few on my face as well so you can see how they apply and how I personally apply them. These are a few of my absolute favorite bronzers. I feel like they're unique to the market because they're glowy and they're a cream and they're not really like anything else. So they're a really fun product and some of my favorite products in my collection. So I'm really excited to share the range with you today. I would love for you to subscribe if you have not already. It would mean so much to me. And I hope this video is helpful and you enjoy, and let's get started. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the product itself. It is in these clear acrylic cases, as you can see, and it is a balmy cream bronzer with a very sheeny, shimmery finish to the skin. And you get 0.16 ounces, and this is what the packaging looks like. So it's really attractive packaging in my opinion. Definitely makes you want to pull it out of your collection and actually use it. And I think it's really nice that you can see through the packaging so you know exactly what shade you're going for. And these are inspired by that moment when the sun sets over the ocean. Bronzino is a blendable, buildable, illuminating cream bronzer for that effortless summer glow from within. So they have 5 shades now. They initially started with 2 shades, West Coast and Best Coast, but they got a lot of feedback and kind of criticism actually for the release of only 2 shades. But they listened to their audience, and then they ended up partnering with a black makeup artist. Her name is Jessica Smalls, and she's a celebrity makeup artist. She's done makeup for people like Janelle Monáe and Mary J. Blige, and they partnered with her to create 3 more shades. So they definitely listened to their audience and they gave them more shades, and they partnered with a black makeup artist, which I think is really amazing and what they definitely needed for the collection. So now they have 3 more shades and a total of 5. So I'll start with the deepest shade and move from there. So the deepest shade is the shade Pacific Coast, which is described as a deep bronze. It's this one here. And I actually thought that this shade was going to be a bit too deep for me, but I recently swatched it and it is not too deep. And because these shades are so sheer and buildable, a lot of the shades work for a lot of different skin tones because they can either be built up or sheared out. So this one is, in my opinion, the most neutral of all 5 shades. When I swatch it on my hand, I can tell that it doesn't pull as orange or as red, at least on my skin tone, as the other ones. And it also, on my skin tone, looks like it doesn't have as much sheen as the other shades either. So as you can see, this is all 5 shades swatched out on my hand. And this one here is Pacific Coast, which is the deepest shade, which is described as a deep bronze. And as you can tell from the other swatches next to it, it leans a lot more neutral in my opinion than these other ones, and is not as sheeny on my skin tone either. So that surprised me because in the pan it just looks quite deep and I didn't think it would work on my skin tone, but it does, and I quite like it actually. Next up is Best Coast, which is one of my favorite shades. This is described as a deep warm brown, and this pulls quite red on my skin tone, and I love this bronzer so much. I really like this one in the summer, kind of as a blush and bronzer shade on my skin tone. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. The next shade I'll talk about is the shade Gold Coast, which is described as a medium neutral bronze, and this one pulls quite yellow gold on my skin tone. This shade isn't my favorite, but I think this would work really well for people who have cool or neutral undertones because it does have that kind of gold orangey shift to it. And next we have the shade West Coast, which is described as a medium warm bronze. This is definitely my most used and most loved bronzer in the 5 shades, and I love this one so much. It doesn't pull as red as Best Coast does on my skin, and I think that's why I like it, because it's not too overpowering for any of the blushes I wear or anything like that. Not that Best Coast is, but this one's just a lot more neutral for me. And you can just see how messed up this bronzer is from how much I use it and love it, and I just really love this shade. So this is West Coast, and the last shade I have to talk about is the shade Suncoast, which is a light bronze. This is their lightest shade in the range, and I actually use this one as a highlighter. It works really well for my skin tone as a highlighter, and I think the beautiful thing about these bronzers is that if one shade does not work for you, if you're a medium or deep shade, you can use one of the lighter shades as a highlighter or an eyeshadow or something like that. So they're multi-use for sure. I've used most of them all over my face, on my eyes and on my cheeks as both blush and highlighter, so it's really nice how multi-use they are. So this is all 5 shades swatched out next to each other. We have Pacific Coast, Best Coast, West Coast, Gold Coast, and Sun Coast. And I do feel like I could use the top 3 as bronzers for my skin tone. I think this one would pull too orange on me, and I use Sun Coast as a highlighter. But you can see how sheeny and beautiful and illuminating these are on the skin, and they aren't too sheeny or shimmery in my opinion on the skin once they're blended out. They just give you such a beautiful kind of lit within bronze that I think is stunning. And I'll wear a few shades on my face right now. I'll pull my 2 favorites, which is Best Coast and West Coast, and I'll also use Sun Coast as a highlighter, and I think I want to use Pacific Coast here as an eyeshadow. Okay, so I've zoomed you in a little bit, and I also wanted to share a few of my favorite bronzer brushes. So one that I really love and has been my current favorite is the Real Techniques 401 brush. This is their sculpting brush, and I love this for cream bronzers because it's really dense, but it has that angle to it, so you can really like stipple your cream bronzer into the hollows of your cheeks without it getting blown out too much. So I really love that for cream bronzers. And then another one is the Expert Face Brush by Real Techniques as well. This has kind of the same vibe as this sculpting brush without the angle, but it does essentially the same thing and works just as well, because it has that dense little brush, so you can really like stipple it into the skin and push it into the skin. Another brush that I love for cream bronzers is the Ecotools Blending and Bronzing Brush. It is a stipple brush, and this one's super nice because you can blow the bronzer out a little bit more if you want, but you can also keep it concentrated. But I really like this because of the stippled brush and how you can stipple it into your skin or really buff it out if you want. Another brush I love is the e.l.f. Airbrush Stipple brush. This is really popular among my friends in the beauty community, and it really is an amazing brush. It has that stippled brush head, but it's small and compact, so you don't overdo it on your skin, and you can really get into your cheekbone and stipple the product on or buff it out if you want. So this is another favorite of mine. Those are a few of my favorite bronzer brushes that I thought I'd mention. Today I think I'm going to use the Real Techniques ones for my face, and I'll start with my favorite. So my favorite shade is West Coast, and I'll do West Coast on this side of my face, and then I'll do Best Coast on this side of my face. But I love this shade so much. I usually just dip my brush right into it, and you can pat the excess on the top as well. I actually learned that from Amy Lou during one of virtual like classes with her. So you can stipple it on the top of the packaging as well if you want to get the excess product off. But I just then press it into my skin. And I like to bring it onto my forehead as well. And I don't have any blush on because I didn't want to disrupt the color of the bronzer when showing you all, so no blush here, but I do tend to bring it into where I would usually put blush so it all melds together. But as you can see, it's this really warm, kind of neutral, a little red leaning bronzer on my skin tone. And I just think this livens up my skin tone so much and just makes me look very lit and luminous and bronzed without being too sheeny or anything like that. I just really love this bronzer so much, and that's why it looks as used as it is, because I love it and use it so much. So this is West Coast on the side of the face. And then my second favorite shade is the shade Best Coast, which is more red leaning on my skin tone for sure. And you can see just how red this leans on my skin tone, but that's one of the reasons I like it, because it kind of looks like a blush on me as well. So I get the bronziness, but then I also get that warmth from the shade. So this is West Coast. And this is Best Coast. And now I'm going to use the shade Suncoast as a highlighter. This is the lightest shade in the range. And as you can see, it's a pretty light bronzer shade on me. So I do like to use it as a highlighter. It does kind of have that orangey, bronzy kind of undertone to it, but that doesn't really show up on my skin tone. So I just like to tap this onto the high points of my face as a highlighter. Also my nose. I do notice on my nose you can kind of see the undercast or like undertone of the bronzer, so I just really like to blend it out on my nose so you don't notice it as much. But it just makes my skin look so glowy and beautiful. And for my eyeshadow, I'm going to use this shade Pacific Coast, because it's this really beautiful neutral brown shade on me. I actually think I might use this as nose contour as well in a little bit, because it's really not that sheeny on my skin tone compared to the other ones, and I think it would work really well as a nose contour slash bronze. Yeah, Suncoast works beautifully as an eyeshadow and a nose contour. I honestly think that this would look beautiful as a bronzer as well, and I kind of want to put it on my face, so I think I'm going to. So just before I do that, I'll show you again. This is West Coast and this is Best Coast, and on top I'm gonna put some of Pacific Coast as well. Okay, so those are a few of the shades demoed on my face, everyone except Gold Coast actually. And I think they layer on top of creams and powders beautifully. I think they did a really good job with this formula with both the blushes and the bronzers, because they just like play really well with other products. They sit on the skin beautifully, as you can see, and they're just so glowy and luminous and make you look really healthy. And I'm so excited that Pacific Coast works well on my skin tone too, because this is a gorgeous shade. I'm really excited to use this once I get a little bit more tan to see what that looks like. I love Suncoast as a highlighter, and West Coast and Best Coast are my babies and wear them all the time and love them so much. And Pacific Coast looks beautiful in the eyes as well. I really love West Coast and Best Coast on the eyes too. I actually have a video demoing those when they first released, so I'll put that up in the card so you can check that out if you'd like to, just because I did do a video previously with it and I applied it to my eyes, and I think I even applied it to my lips. So they are multi-use products, and yeah, they're just beautiful and I really love them. Alright, so that is Best Coast, West Coast, Suncoast, and Pacific Coast demonstrated on my face today. I think my skin look so glowy and beautiful and really natural, but still bronzed and luminous, so I'm really into it. I really love Pacific Coast on the eyes as an eyeshadow, and I'm very excited to keep using this as a bronzer as well. I think it's so pretty. And I obviously have loved and use Best Coast and West Coast all the time, and I think Suncoast is beautiful as a highlighter. So I just really love these bronzers. They're definitely unique to my collection, and they're unique to the market in my opinion, because there's not that many bronzers out there that are creamy, that are as luminous as these ones without being shimmery. So yeah, I just love them so much. I would love to know what your favorite shade was and what your favorite shade is if you already use and love these, and if you have not used them yet, what shade are you eyeing? I would love to know that as well. Let me know if you have any questions or comments down in the comment section below, and I would love to get back to you. And I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for joining me on this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye!